is back and bigger than ever. It's the unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Now, here's the entire Sooner Scoop crew. Carrie, Josh, Eddie, and Bob.
All righty, we are back. It is the unofficial 40 podcast from Soonerscoop.com, and the entire gang is not here today because Josh McQuistion is on the happiest mother effing place on the earth. No, he's not. We all know my hatred for Orlando. He is at Disney. He's at Disney. I don't know. World, I think, is in Orlando, and Land is in L.A.
California.
I think that is right.
Welcome, boys. Bob and Josh Bob and Eddie are with us here today. We're actually back in the studio recording today because we had some deliveries for all you Steve Ballmer fans out there.
I was just apprised of all this.
Of what?
That we're getting deliveries today. I'm the reason we're starting late today. Can I get a little bit more in the headphone?
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
I think we all could probably use a little
there
bit
we
more
go.
in the
Now we're
headphones.
good.
So it's one of those stupid, signature required. I had stuff come to the office. I sent out a big message last night to Bob and Eddie. Bob understood the assignment. Eddie did not.
Well, I understood the assignment. I just didn't listen to the assignment. I just didn't do the assignment.
I think knowing the assignment is, proving that you knew, that you were listening.
All I saw was 11 a.m. and I think my brain just turned off at that moment.
And so now we're here at 12:08.
And I will say, I was sitting there at 10:50, and I was like, I'll just wait till 11.
I was just waiting. I was just waiting for the "I'm ready" text from Eddie, and right at 11 o'clock, you're like, "Okay, I'm ready."
It was 11
from
a.m.
your house in Oklahoma City.
I was like, "I'm ready to go. I'm ready when you guys are." I'm too shook this morning because the Big 12 is a terrible conference, and they don't have the Big 12 golf.
Anyway,
I know
on
it's
TV.
A lot of you and Sam Humphreys very upset.
It's just there's no reason that they shouldn't have I'm not even asking for don't even give me ESPN Plus. Just give me some type of stream.
Right.
I mean, why do they have ESPN Plus?
I don't know.
Why does the Big 12 have a deal with ESPN Plus if they're not going to show? I mean, I imagine it's pretty expensive to broadcast a golf tournament. I don't know.
Oh, it's tough, but oh well. It's an OU-OSU race right now as they begin the back nine. Should be kind of interesting.
Texas fell apart.
OU and OSU are just playing that well. OU's 12 under today. Oklahoma State's 10 under, and Texas kind of struggling. They're 3 under. This isn't an OU. I don't want Preteris. I don't want him to be. Is that how you say it? I don't want him to be mad. No banter. Let's go football.
Oh, Preteris, the poster.
Yeah,
I was like, you really shook me there for a minute. Well, I mean, it's not just him. I mean, Josh would be turning over in his grave right now if he had to sit here and listen to golf talk. He could barely handle men's hoops.
They're a dominant program. People don't understand. They lost 3 All-Americans last year. They're not supposed to be.
They've been number 1 going into this, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of unbelievable what they're putting together.
Well, Ryan Hibble, congratulations to him.
He's unbelievable. Well, it's not over. We're not going to crown him yet.
All right, Bob, Eddie, and I, we had every opportunity to break down the spring game in the Eskridge Lexus postgame show.
That felt like a real game day on Saturday, getting out of there so late.
Yeah, I know.
I could not believe how late it was.
late.
When we got done with the the post-game stuff, I was like, holy shit, it's 11 o'clock.
I went to bed at 3 a.m. or something.
It was like a real game day.
It really was. And, I mean, they didn't shut down ASP, which was weird, which they probably should have, even though I'm on ASP. It's not like we had things to sell or anything. We don't have a storefront, so don't come here. But I mean, it was just kind of strange because I came down here early in the morning and got some things done, and then I went back home, and then I tried to come back through, and it was just insane the amount of people, how hard it was to navigate through campus, and then I finally got to the parking garage, which they had bomb-sniffing dogs, what made it even more feel like a game day, which is kind of cool. I'm that guy, like Eddie and I. He remembers when we went through the dog search at the border near El Paso.
Yeah, that was on the fateful Phoenix to San Antonio drive.
Right, and there was a car in front of us that was literally, it was like a Acura.
They're still in prison.
That car was riding down on the street, the back of it. We were like, what the have they got
Those
in there?
Those people are 100% still in prison today.
But yeah, I mean, it was I get so excited about that. And it's the dog started sniffing my car. I was like, this is awesome. I'm like, I know I don't have a bomb in here. I hope I don't have you second guess yourself. You're like, I don't have a bomb, do I? I don't have a bomb. There's nothing for me to worry about, right? Like,
I hope
did
there's
someone
not
sneak a
drugs
bomb
in my bag right now.
Well, that's the thing. That's like bomb sniffing dogs are not drug sniffing dogs. They can't be both.
Oh, they can't?
No, they can't.
Well, that makes me feel a little bit better.
That they cannot be both. Like, I think the last time, remember we were in the Atlanta airport and they had the bomb sniffing dogs? They're the Atlanta airport, the
TSA don't
TSA,
play.
they do not joke around
They're not
with the Atlanta
fans of
TSA.
anybody.
No. I mean, they're very strict, very serious. Like, I'm going to kick your ass if you don't take all your batteries out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go through the Atlanta TSA and you're like, well, maybe Al-Qaeda had a point.
So anyway, back to the game real quick.
It's a joke.
Bob, just kind of, I even brought some notes with me just to refresh because I would say this, probably about the most emotional day that you'll ever see on Owen Field.
Yeah, and that was really the story of the weekend. I don't know what you learned as much in terms of the 2022 team, but just a celebration of the program going exactly the way that they wanted, from Baker Mayfield to 75,360 people being there, and Brent Venables asking people to call to action, and everyone did their part.
Well, and just seeing what Brent was kind of doing with, trying to establish his own things with the walk, with everybody arm in arm was kind of cool to see. And it was interesting because we saw a ton of Dylan Gabriel. I mean, that's more starting quarterback than I've ever seen in my entire life in a spring game.
Yeah, he goes 19 to 28 for 250, touchdown, a pick,
and he's running from sideline to sideline between series.
Yeah, he's running, and he's and you got to see the tempo of which they want to work at, and you got to see when it works well how fun it is. But there were a couple of possessions, 3 and out, that were done in like 45 seconds because of it.
It seems like I asked Dylan Gabriel, like, whose plan was that? Did you want to do that? And he just kind of sidestepped the whole thing.
I don't know if he wanted to play that much.
I don't think you're probably right.
I mean, he had to have been tired.
Yeah, the running back and forth was just weird.
Now, you're not getting knocked down, you're not getting tackled, but you're still running around.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't take a breather for the first 4 or 5 series.
Yeah, and then it got to a point.
Might have been more than that.
Well, I think he played the first 5, and then Evers came in, and then Evers just threw that one pass.
He didn't do anything. Yeah, and then
he had his completion that was called back
obviously,
because of penalty.
Ralph Rucker's had a hell of a spring.
That was the most surprising thing after the game. I was like, that can't be right. He only threw 1 pass, and then I went back and I was like, oh, I guess he didn't.
Micah Bowens had the long touchdown to Jaden, and that's about it.
It did seem like after halftime, though, that everybody, and I think I said this Saturday night, I was like, okay, we've seen everything. That the first half took so long.
It was 2 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, when you add in starting late, Brent's pregame speech, bringing all the alumni in, then the game, then Baker. I mean, it was well after 5 by the time halftime was over.
I didn't think they would get through halftime in 25 minutes when I saw that on the clock. And then when I see Brent take the microphone midfield, I'm like, there's no way we're getting done in 20. But Brent did a good job. I think he was out there for like 7 minutes or something like that. Handed it over to Baker.
Baker was short.
Baker was pretty short.
It's like 3.5 minutes, or I think 4 minutes was the total runtime on that.
Just his speech?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But him coming out, with the smoke and, you're pumping up the crowd and stuff, and his family there. And I've said this a lot. Like, as I've gotten older, I've become more emotional as a man. Like, I cry at stupid shit now. And I was sitting next to Bob, just trying not to cry. That was
don't
all.
Cry, don't cry.
Yes,
don't cry. Don't cry.
I was literally saying, like, don't cry. Just stop. Just stop being emotional. Like, I didn't want to be in the press box, but like when Baker was getting emotional, I was getting emotional, and like his family standing there, and we didn't really talk to him about this. His wife has never been to Owen Field with the full crowd with it. I mean,
he said that was the first time that she had been here, because the other time I don't think that she came with him. When he came back for like right after the Rose Bowl, what was that? Like the
OU
not
Texas
pro day,
the OU
Texas basketball game.
The
basketball
I think he was just by himself that time.
Yeah, he was.
Which is, I think that's like the emotional attachment, though, is why people love the guy so much. I mean, even in some of the video that we put into the Sights and Sounds, it was like, I thought he was about to cry.
Yeah,
Like, talking about
that's
his
what I'm
family
talking
and-
about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
And just just sitting there watching his Heisman Trophy speech back, you could tell he really hasn't watched that. Like he was watching it so intently at halftime.
Yeah. Yep. No, there's definitely an appeal of I think that's one of those moments too where everything probably runs through your mind and it's like, wow, I really did this, even though he lives it every day, kind of thing.
Yep.
Well, I was glad that he kind of addressed how nice it was with everything going on, with him professionally right now.
And I think that was in the back of his mind too. Like I still say that I don't know if he would ever come out and say this, but that might have been like the most healthy reset that he's ever had in his life, maybe.
I have to think after watching the highlights and seeing the reaction from the crowd, having a statue, being beat down like he has been, he had to come out of that saying, you know what, I'm a pretty fucking good quarterback.
And
Like,
now
I needed to
Kind
be
of like a
reminded
little
of that.
reminder
Yeah.
of like what I did when I was here.
And now they're saying he's going to be the best quarterback of the weekend.
Well, that's going to be the most interesting thing is, and
Right.
I don't know. I said this morning. I don't know. Like, I guess Michael Silver's a good guy. I don't really have any feel for him, like the NFL reporter.
Yeah,
But he brought up a pretty good thing last night on Twitter, just talking about like the $18.86 million that is owed to him by the Browns next year. There's not a lot of owners that are real excited about taking that money off of the Browns table because the Browns have put every other owner in a really f***ed up situation
with the guaranteed $230 million
guaranteed money
contract.
to Deshaun Watson. And I hadn't even thought about it that way. So I guess you're going to have to basically settle for a 5th or 6th, maybe 7th round pick, and then pay part of the salary, and then the Browns are left with everything else. I don't know what the best situation is though, because
I think
nobody needs a quarterback.
I think the Browns might have to say, look, we'll release him.
Yeah. But then that opens the door to everybody.
You get nothing.
Right.
You get nothing, and like
You've heard the Steelers would jump at him.
And you have to pay his salary. But that might be the only way he can get free.
oh, they would have to pay all of it if they release him.
Right, yeah.
And are they going to do that for a divisional rival like the Steelers?
Yeah,
if they're the team that would.
Steelers have said it flat
I think
out.
it would be awesome.
But if they can't get somebody else to pick it up, they can't just like say, okay, we're going to pay $18 million and get a draft pick for it. I mean, they have to do one or the other.
It would be
Right.
hilarious just for the fact that like Jim Traber's head would explode if Baker Mayfield's the quarterback next year for the Steelers.
his team.
It would be awesome.
It would be unbelievable just from a content purpose.
Is Colin a Seahawks fan?
Coward?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that he usually pulls for him, but I don't know. Like with the Russell Wilson stuff, I don't know if like that has changed with him or not. I don't really know if he plays the NFL line like he's playing the OU card right now, or the USC card, I guess.
Did you see the guy, John Shin, has done some work for us over the years. He's kind of in and out of media now. His best description of Petros Papadakis is he is the voice in every serial killer's head.
Absolutely. Can't stand that guy.
But did you see him? He eviscerated Colin Cowherd.
Yeah, I listened to it like 3 times.
Oh,
just to
did he?
make- just to
Did he?
make sure.
Yes.
Then I will listen to it.
That's why I
actually.
sent it to you.
I
That's
thought-
why it was so
I
great.
Because
thought
he's a USC guy,
Yeah, I thought
and
he
he
was gonna
really
be
cares
backing it
about
up.
USC. He's basically
He's like a USC.
this
like,
guy's a carpetbagger, basically, is
Yeah.
what he was saying. I
Yeah.
think that's what a carpetbagger means, right?
basically. I think that's what he was portraying Coward as,
Yeah.
as like a grifter, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely a grifter. I mean, that's all the rage these days. I mean, there's lots of grifters out there.
So do they hate each other? Like, is that a thing?
I think Petros just feels like he's being disingenuous.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And he also feels like USC needs to stop with all the marketing and hype and just go out there and win some football games.
But I have thought that's a little interesting the way that everything's been presented by USC. But knowing the people that are probably in charge of some of that stuff, it's not surprising. That's not a hit.
What
That's
did he
just
call
how they operate.
What did he call the skit? The
It was the thing from Saturday Night Live. With Keenan.
What's up with that?
Yeah, what's up with that guy? Yeah.
He called it the
That's
what's
what
up
it
with
looked
that.
like.
Yeah.
The Lincoln Riley
Ooh-wee.
thing. Yeah,
What's
that's
up with
exactly
that?
what it was.
And like Lincoln Riley never got to be a guest. Like he just sat there on the couch. Yeah. While everybody danced around him.
So funny. It was funny too, and you knew that it was going to happen. It's like the ultimate catnip clickbait moment of the weekend was the overhead shot of the stadium here and then the stadium out there.
USC. And USC bragging about their attendance.
Sure.
Right.
Saying it's the best they've had and since they've kept track, which they probably
I will say this, the one thing
track
the one
Free.
thing
You could homeless people probably were going in there.
the one thing I do kind of object to with the USC stuff is like look, people are going to do what they're going to do, but I don't find it necessary to like go after Latrell McCutcheon because he got beat on a pass and just beat the kid up.
No, that's probably a little much for me, but fans are going to go after him regardless.
He didn't make it easy on himself, but
No, not at all.
he's still going to be a junior. I mean,
sophomore.
he's just 2 years removed
slowly-
from high
He
school.
was a true freshman last year.
Slowly but surely, I'm starting to come around to the idea like Caleb Williams might be a different story. If you're making $2.5 million, maybe you get to shoulder a little bit of criticism.
Here's my hot take. I think Dylan Gabriel looked good. He's not Caleb Williams.
No, I don't think.
No.
I don't think that he is.
Caleb Williams, he's f***ing good.
Caleb Williams
he's
is an elite
good.
quarterback that
He really is.
has a chance to be a very, very good college quarterback. It's just I don't know if you're ever going to truly know because of the offensive and defensive line,
exactly.
the offensive
the
line
pieces
situation,
around him.
right?
Exactly.
But I will say, like the Gabriel thing is fascinating to me for the fact that this guy's thrown for 8,000 yards. He's thrown 72 touchdowns in college, and everybody's kind of like, well, I wonder what they have with Dylan. I think we know what they have.
And it was nice to see him.
He's a very good quarterback.
It was nice to see how mobile he was, and he's quick, and he's not Kyler Murray, but he's more like Baker Mayfield.
It's funny because when you talk about Gabriel, it's like
He's not Spencer Rattler, which is the most important thing.
he has all of
Mobility
these
wise.
qualities of a good quarterback, and obviously he's not going to be able to or he can't turn the ball over in the red zone and do stupid stuff with the football, which I think Oklahoma fans have just become so accustomed to. Kyler and Baker never turned the ball over. Jalen rarely did, and then I think over the last couple of years it's become more and more. But at the same time, it's also one of those things like, well, he also has all these attributes as a winner, and I always wonder if Texas fans were saying that or if OSU fans were saying that. My first thought would be, so you don't think he's as good as anybody else, right? that's kind of how it goes.
What is it that they always say? Like he's great at commanding the team.
He just gets it.
He's great in the huddle.
He just gets it.
And
I think he does just get it. Like obviously talking to him,
I've written the story that says it.
right? But I think that there is some truth to that.
I think he's the right fit at the right time, Eddie.
Possibly.
Maybe.
It is interesting just how his arrival kind of coincides with Baker's ending. I think Guerin wrote a little bit about it, about how they're kind of in the same spot that they were in 2015, where you don't really know,
what you're going to get, what you're going
to get, what to expect. But the possibility is that they could be. I still think it's going to be a really, really good offense, even after seeing it loosely on Saturday, even though offensive line, I wanted to see more. You just can't in that setting.
You can't, and because they chose to split them up, so it wasn't the five that will play together. It's like 2 or 3 here, 2 or 3 there. So
I think
they didn't get to be a unit.
I think they know who's going to be the 2 tackles. I think Wanye and Anton are going to be the 2 tackles, and then it's kind of a smorgasbord in the middle. I think Chris Murray's obviously in there.
You got
Tower,
McCade, Murray, and then Conjal and Raym will battle it out at center. That's how I feel.
I feel like they want
coming out.
They want Conjal's
toughness with
mindset with Raym's ability.
Yes.
I want to see
how. That's not a hit on Raym. It just is what it is.
I want to see how Brent Venables handles a 3 penalty game from Chris Murray.
Man, he loves getting penalties, doesn't he? I said that to Nate Fakin after the first one. I was like,
we said the same thing in the press box.
That guy loves getting penalties.
Chris Murray goes, I'm too old to be getting these kind of penalties, and he gets one in the spring game.
And they're not I haven't gone back and watched.
I think one was down the
game.
field, one was just illegal something, holding or something.
Sure.
But no, I mean, that's the thing. It's this was an undisciplined team a year ago. And it's also hard to judge the offense because Brent Venables was cheating the entire day.
He was breathing down their neck.
I mean, my God, Brent. I know you want to win. I know you want your defense to do well, but do you really have to resort to cheating?
How's he cheating?
He's sitting there on the field the whole time.
Like behind him?
Yes.
Behind him?
It's cheating.
It was a good game until halftime. Then after halftime, I was just like, okay, I've kind of seen
and they
everything.
did the running clock, and they made sure.
Yeah.
It was fine.
What did you think of the defense, Bob? What stood out to you there?
I think the pass rush, even though you didn't get the finish, but you saw Marcus Stripling, you saw Redmond, you saw Jordan Kelly. They all, and Ethan Downs had a really nice game. It's like, okay, you don't know what's going to happen when they go against real live competition, but it's like that feels like a group that's going to be better than what I first.
You know what was also noticeable that I don't think I've mentioned yet is you felt like that was a defense that had linebackers that were involved. Like
they were hitting.
They were the ones tracking down the ball carriers versus just being. Remember we talked about a lot last year. It's like if the defensive line didn't make the tackle, you rarely. I mean, Asamoah had a better year, but like that's Deshaun White's biggest criticism for me is that he's just not at the point of attack. He doesn't meet people at the point of attack.
And that's what's, for me,
where Stutson, TD Roof.
Intriguing thing for me is when Stutzman or Shane Witter, do they overtake Agwebu and White?
I wanted to see more from Agwebu.
I feel like we always say that.
I guess we're always going to. I mean, we saw one of the practices we went to, he was blowing people up left and right. But I didn't see that Saturday.
It is crazy that you sit there, and I felt the same thing about the linebackers as far as it's like I've just never seen these guys run to the football like this. And I just don't know.
Like they're making stops like 2 yards past the line of scrimmage when it used to be 5 to 7.
We had a great shot of Stutzman one time, and like Stutzman had one in the first quarter, and then he had one in the third.
And to be
quarter.
fair, Deshaun White had the massive hit at the start of the game.
On Barnes,
second play. Yeah.
I hadn't seen Deshaun White hit like that or
Yeah.
run to the football
Did I say
like
Deshaun
that.
Watson?
I don't think so.
Okay, God.
Might have to massage it in there.
Wow. That really does deserve a rim shot.
It was different. I just don't know, like, again, it's one of those things, too, that's like they've basically seen all the plays that OU's going to run at them. They've been doing it for the last 6 weeks. How much of that is just familiarity with the offense and how much of that is truly a change in defense?
But I will say this, Javonte Barnes got his stuff pushed back in on that second play.
It was good. That was good for him.
He just kept,
He kept
going.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
He started breaking more and running tougher. It was impressive.
Even standing down there before the game, getting video of the pregame stuff, it's just like that guy, he's one of the first people that you notice in that running back.
I have a question for you, Eddie. And Bob, I don't know if you saw him when you were down there, but because he was taking all his pictures with offensive linemen, I couldn't get a real feel, but did you stand up next to Gavin Sawchuk at any point and get a feel for just how he is physically?
No, I didn't. Because I don't think I even saw him on Saturday. But, I mean, I've seen him before. He's a big kid. I saw him at one of what weekend was he in for? I think it was one of the weekends that Josh visited him, I thought. Or no, not when Josh visited.
He went
was
to
up there.
out of Colorado.
I forget. When he came down for a visit last year, I remember thinking that he's probably, I'd say a little bit smaller than Marcus Major, but Marcus Major, maybe that's the different. Like they're both smaller than Javonte Barnes. Trying to think, a little bit skinnier, but skinny's not the right way to say it.
Yeah,
like
he's not. He's not.
Big
Yeah,
kid.
he looks pretty thick with 2 C's.
If he's, I will say, like, my first reaction after the game was, and I might have said this on the postgame pod, was like somebody like Tawi Walker. Are we back in one of these things where you leave spring football and you're like, well, he could maybe work in short yardage? But like the more that I went back and looked at it, like
You're
the touchdown
triggering
run,
Bob right now.
not at all. Okay.
Well,
I thought he ran the ball well.
Bob also supports Todd Hudson.
I went for Todd Hudson as my walk-on of the game, and it did not pan out for me. But no, I think as long as their scholarship guys don't get hurt,
I probably would agree with you.
You like what they have.
I mean, look, I think Tawi Walker could be a good short yardage guy. I mean, if you feel like you don't have a guy, or if you want to run, I don't know if Lebby runs 2 back sets or not. But if you wanted to do something like that with him, I could see that happening. I don't know. I mean, that's going to be what's kind of interesting to me is like, how much does Lebby kind of come up with stuff? Like, how much does he just throw something out there just to try it against a certain defense? Like, is he that type of offensive coordinator, or is he more like Mike Leach where he has his system and he sticks to it?
Yeah, and you don't know what Marcus Major brings to the table because we never really got to see him.
Nobody did.
He was injured pretty early in the spring, so where those last, I think, 3 viewings that we had, he was always working off to the side. So we don't know how good he looks or how good he's going to look, what kind of role he's going to play.
In a perfect world, it would be Eric Gray, Marcus Major, 1A,
yes.
1B, and you just run those guys into the ground, basically.
I will say this one thing that
Major just has to be on the field, though.
Right. I don't know.
I know that if it was a game, it's basically one of those things that I would hope that he would have been able to play on Saturday. It's just like I want to see him play. I want to see him out there consistently.
Is he bowl game Marcus Major that we've seen the last 2 years? That's the question. Can he be regular? Can that guy, the bowl game Marcus Major, be regular season Marcus Major? That's the biggest question.
Does he need a month off between games?
That'd be kind of baller if he's just like, I play 1 game a month. That's all I do.
I mean, that's the Quentin Chaney career, isn't it? Played great.
Was it even that? Was it even 1 game a month? It's like 1 game every 3 months.
They lost the game, yeah. So, but it was the year when Malcolm Kelly was out of the bowl game.
What game was that?
Was that West Virginia?
Oh, the Fiesta Bowl?
Yeah. It was definitely the Fiesta Bowl.
It was during some dark periods of my time.
Were you out there for that as a student?
No, we didn't go. We did not go. I'm trying to think where we watched it at.
That was Owen Schmidt. Was that the fullback?
Yeah. Bill Stewart.
Yeah, Bill Stewart. Oh, my God. Everybody thought that game was going to be a walkover because he was a dead man walking.
That was the and as it turns out, it just Jesus. He's a good man. He was a good man. Owen Schmidt was like the ultimate fullback, wasn't he? Horse collar and everything.
He was that guy they basically had to come up with a rule with your helmet gets knocked off, you have to stop playing. Like he was always bleeding because his helmet would get knocked off and he'd still keep running.
2008 Fiesta Bowl. Goodness. 48-28.
Yep. Not a good night.
Yep.
What's the date on that? It was January 2nd. Okay. I'm trying to think where we were for that game.
Anyway, back to the defense real quick. One of the things that I was kind of surprised about, to me, Joshua Eaton was the guy that stood out above everybody. I really don't put Woody Washington into this group because he's proven, but I didn't really see any flashes from Kenai
Walker.
There's too many Walkers and Kenais and Tawis but yeah, I mean, I didn't really see anything where I was like, oh, that's a really good play.
Yeah, and in fact, I think the only thing you really remember is Theo beating him deep on the very first series of the game. And it was a nice performance by Eaton, which is fun to see because I think you've kind of felt he's teetering on the portal the last year and a half, and maybe something like that keeps him here. I don't know. Well,
and the other thing, DJ Graham can't not talk about him, especially with a recent tweet that he's had, and his mom being upset. And, I'm not a parent. I have no idea what that's like. I just say this: like when you are a parent and you speak out, whether it's Marvin Mims, whether it's DJ Graham's mother, like you got to realize what you're saying gets put on your kid.
Yep.
So like, if you're disgruntled, your kid may not be, but everyone expects him to be disgruntled, and so everyone was expecting DJ Graham to hit the portal.
I think so.
And they're still worried about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that you put that tweet out yesterday, kind of throwing shade at Lincoln, kind of, or just saying, of course OU's going to be okay.
Yeah, did they think we were going anywhere or something like that?
Yes.
Or who thought we were going anywhere?
And it's not like he didn't play Saturday out of protest. He was another guy that the last viewing we had was off to the side. So obviously something minor with him has kept him out the last 2 weeks of spring. So, and that's why Kenai has been able to spotlight himself.
Yeah.
And that's why we've talked a lot about him, because he's getting more and more reps because DJ's not out there.
It is like one of those new things, too, where I go, like, it's a good problem to have when you're talking about cornerbacks. It's like I could make an argument for either of those guys. I think it's pretty solidified with Woody on one side, but even like
Jaden Davis, I thought had some good plays in the scrimmage.
The play that Kendall
Dennis
makes on the
great
football,
play,
that was an awesome play.
Great,
probably
play.
A ball that should have never been thrown by Gabriel, but like really good throw or a really good play on his part defensively.
Was Gibson the receiver on that? No, it wasn't Gibson.
I want to say it might have been Theo, but I can go.
I thought it was Jaden, but
was
I'm
was
not
it Jaden?
sure. I thought it was.
It
I
might
thought
have been.
someone really tall, and that's why Dylan went.
Yeah.
Okay, that might have been
went
it
with
then. I think that's right.
I just remember, it was a great play by Dennis, and the receiver didn't do anything to help,
Correct.
help his quarterback.
Looked like Nick Anderson had a cast on his hand too. That's why he didn't play.
Yeah, and he had it at the very first practice of spring.
Oh, did he really?
Like the very,
notice
very
that.
first one. I mean, him and Damon Harmon were among the guys that weren't out there. And so it sounded like he was maybe in and out throughout the course of the month.
Are we going to get to a point where it's just like the Ravens draft a bunch of Sooners? Is it going to get to a point where it's like the Sooners take a lot of kickers from Arizona State? Like, are we going to get is OU going to get known for stealing players from certain schools? Because the backup punter, look, Turk had the kick out of the 1 yard line. It's the best punt of the day.
Sure.
But there were a lot
Plaster
of
did
holy
okay.
shits
Plaster
in the press
did
box
okay.
about
Yep.
Plaster.
Plaster's one of the guys, I didn't even really know anything about him until he started hanging out with Turk and in some of his TikTok videos.
Well, he was in the
stuff.
last before the game. They were out working out together and stuff.
Turk has said multiple times, this guy has a ridiculous leg. He's almost gone over the top to say, and I think he's kicked a little bit. He's a punter by trade, but he started to kick off the ground as well. That's something that, we talked about after the game, Bob. It's not the sexiest thing to talk about who's going to replace Gabe Burgess.
We don't know.
But I don't know if they have
I don't have a clue.
I don't know if they have a kicker right now between Gavin Marshall and
Zach Schmidt.
Zach Schmidt, yeah.
No
Still
idea.
with that wind, everybody seemed to kick pretty
They're
well.
okay. I think they both have pretty good legs.
They weren't forced to kick a 45, 50-yard field goal.
24, I think.
Yeah,
was
it was
the longest one.
so.
You never need a kicker until you need one. Or you never have to worry about the kicker until he
when you
sucks.
have a kicker, sometimes you don't want a kicker. A coach, you would rather a coach maybe go
Be a
for
little bit
it.
more aggressive
Yeah.
because of it.
Because there were times it just seemed like Lincoln was playing for a field goal.
We got inside the 35. All right, we're good.
Yeah.
Well, he knew if they scored a touchdown, he wouldn't get the job in Los Angeles.
Yep. Had to
Son of a
find a way
bitch.
to lose some games.
That's hey, he might be a better game planner than we thought.
Yeah. If they put, maybe somebody will put something, maybe UCLA could put something in his contract. Be the first coach.
Although they
to
lost
get,
their kicker, the USC guy, because he went to Ohio State.
Oh,
He's the
yeah.
one that made the comment about that might have been the most people I've ever played in front of after their spring game.
Yeah. Interesting. Anything else just in particular that stood out to you, Bob, that you wanted to get out there about the spring game? Brent?
I did think, defensive line-wise, they have so many guys. When they talk about the 5 seniors on the defensive line, and especially, the interior guys, Jeffrey Johnson, I'm pretty excited about. I think you kind of know what you have with him. But, Jordan Kelly, you labeled him as one of the guys that had a big spring. And, sure enough, one of the first times that we went out to practice, or the last time we went out to practice, he's out there making plays in the Oklahoma drill, the setup for the Oklahoma drill. I don't know what they call it.
The W drill.
W drill. It's the Oklahoma drill. That's the Oklahoma drill.
It's a 2-tiered Oklahoma drill.
Two-tiered, yes.
Is that because the Oklahoma drill is illegal now?
Yes, it is.
They have to
Correct.
add those guys in.
Right. And to be fair, the Oklahoma drill, you would start on the ground and then get up and then run at each other. And
I like this setup better. I don't know.
it's what it is.
It's the same idea.
Yeah, same idea.
Block somebody, get in front of somebody. Like a tackle.
One of the things, I never did ask about the lines, but just the people. We need to take a moment and just kind of congratulate the fans because they were just
Absolutely.
phenomenal. And I will say this, literally shivers at that boomer or that Sooner that they gave out when Baker did it at halftime, because somebody pointed it out, like usually it's only half the stadium. When you hear the entire stadium chant that, it just hits different. Like, it was really cool. I want to see that happen again.
OU fans were part of a cult last Saturday. When he took the mic, that is the closest it's ever going to be to. It's a good cult, though.
We're all in a cult now.
Yeah.
I mean, we all just have different roles. We're cult media members. There are cult fans. There are cult players. Brent Venables is an evangelist.
Embrace it.
He's evangelical in his coaching.
It's what Dabo did at Clemson.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it makes me wonder, like, how many times has Brent Venables watched the movie Up in the Air? Like, somewhere he decided he was going to become like the backpack guy, like put everything, like he was going to be that guy that made a bunch of money just traveling around the country as a motivational speaker. He could do that.
He could.
Like, he could literally make a living doing that.
The caravans are back. You know that much.
And we're going tomorrow night.
Mini cult fall.
And we are really interested to see, what this is going to be like.
So if you get
are people going to be like, is he going to be like laying hands on people in the front row and they're going to be falling over? Is this going to be like, what's that guy's name that does let the bodies hit the floor? Let the bodies hit the floor.
I know who you're
the
talking
Indian
about.
guy?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking of the other guy, like the real scumbag.
Oh, no. Yeah, there's the white.
Kenneth Copeland.
Yeah, I think that's
like
it.
Those types of people.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. Like Brent just has a line of people that he doesn't heal them. He makes them buy season tickets and they don't want to.
As soon as he touches
Sooner fan.
as soon as he touches their head, it's like a $20,000 donation to the athletic program.
Like we could get. I guarantee we get Joe C on board with that. So
I'm sure he would love it.
No, I mean, I think I don't think that people are going to be like raising up out of their chairs with their hands in the air, and but I think it's going to be crazy. Just the reaction that he's going to get tomorrow.
I guess
night
we will never this is one of those questions that you'll never be able to answer, but it was, and fans showed up because of everything that's happened. They wanted to make a statement and all that kind of stuff. I would love to know like what that effect actually was, as far as like if it was just a normal run-of-the-mill game.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what that number would have been. I think it would have still been around 50,000, 45,000, but
the no Baker and
the Baker thing, and then like just the middle finger out west.
Yeah,
that all added into, like, my parents usually don't go to the spring game, and they even went this year.
Can it carry over? Or was it a singular event?
I think
where all these people had this pent up emotion, let it out. When UTEP comes around, are we still going to see that?
It's going to be it's going to be able to be carried over, but I think that's where like on the field play starts affecting like how things go. And if they're 1-3, and I don't think they're going to be, but if they go out and lay an egg early or something, I think that could definitely affect the momentum.
I think for all of us, like the Lincoln stuff has faded now.
Yes.
But with the fans, it's not. It has not faded. Like my radio station was doing something at O'Connell's, and 2:00 the USC game came on, and they had it on in O'Connell's, and the whole bar started booing Lincoln Riley and yelling traitor, and like it was insane. Like we were playing the audio this morning. I mean, it's
amazing.
I mean, it's going to take a long time for most people to get over it.
And the players' trib that we had during last week's pod did him no favors.
Yeah, that was
said
stupid.
Nothing.
It was stupid. It's
kind of like one of those push-pull things where it's never going to go away. I find it. I'm to the point now where I'm over it to the extent of I now think it's kind of funny how obsessed other people are with the obsession that OU fans have with Lincoln Riley, like especially the national
USC
media.
fans, especially,
or and even them, like
saying there's nothing else to do.
Like when you say get over it, that kind of insinuates me to think they should dig in more.
And there are some personalities that will.
OU needs to accept this like idea of kind of being a little bit of the villain right now, like a little bit of like the school that nobody.
The bullies.
I don't know about bullies, but I think that there's certainly this idea nationally that OU's just dropping off. Like they're
Right.
like that. They're not going to be able, and especially because they're moving to the SEC.
Well, it's like Oklahoma versus everybody, Oklahoma versus the world, whatever. I mean,
And
it's the attitude has never been more prevalent than it is right now.
It's almost like I keep like thinking like
It used to.
did they win 10 games last year? How did that happen?
It used to be just about the BCS, like you know, the fan base and the chip on their shoulder was that people are like, we don't want to see him in the playoffs again. Like, but now it is bigger than that, and it is this is a bad word to use right now, but it's a collective pissed offedness. You know, it's like it reaches every segment of the fan base. It reaches even the richest donors to the guy that's never been to a game and only watches it on TV. Like they're all equally as pissed.
Harris said it at the Board of Regents meeting when we talked to him right in the aftermath of everything.
Yep.
When he was talking about the big money alumni and the boosters, is who he was talking about, are more invigorated than ever before.
Right, yeah.
Like, and I think that's somewhat has been shown, and I think that you saw that with a little bit of the reinvestment that this new coaching staff got when they went out for the first time on the road and things like that. But I mean, it's a fan base that definitely, I think, I don't want to say like needed the wake up call by any means, but that's the only way that I can think of it. It's like, it's a fan base that did need a little bit of a wake up call, I think.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
I mean,
it just had to go through like a just awful, terrible, tragic process of.
But see, this is the thing,
wake
like
up.
in Oklahoma, that people have always taken for granted, which is stability. Which,
Sure.
like,
Oh, yeah,
you had
100%.
Bob for 18 years, and some people were like, "Oh, I'm gonna the same thing over." And really, it was the Big 12 home schedule that got everybody in such a malaise, I think. But like other schools go through this stuff all the time. Like other schools, every 5 or 6 years, even powerhouses like Alabama, like they can't appreciate what they have with Nick Saban, I'm sure. But look at places like Auburn. I mean, Oklahoma State's had unprecedented stability.
Sure.
But USC certainly has not.
Oklahoma State's stability has been overshadowed because Oklahoma's stability has been so much greater.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that speaks to the success of both programs.
Right. But like a place like Oregon, I mean, they've
Sure.
had a lot of different coaches lately, and they're still seen as, a modern blue blood. I mean, it's just everywhere else you look, this stuff happens all the time. Oklahoma, it rarely ever happens. Or you fire the guy. I mean, you never lose someone that you don't want to lose. And really, you don't lose anybody because they're bad either. You haven't done that since John Blake.
It all goes back to the idea, too, that, like, I remember doing radio hits and stuff right after Riley happened, or even leading up to the Alamo Bowl. And the questions that would be asked in the way that we talked about this team, you would think they're coming off of a 7-5 year. They're coming off of an 8-4 year at best. And you look up and they won 10 games again. And, I think that speaks to what you're saying, Kerry. It speaks to a little bit of the stability, and it speaks to kind of the balance of where the program was at.
By the way, I want to take a quick time out. Mention weather is getting warmer. I know you guys want to just be able to kind of slip on some shoes and get outside, go run to the market or whatever, but go to deadsoxy.com and check out some no-shows. Not even the collegiate stuff, because their OU collection is great. I know a lot of you people out there have ordered those, but the no-shows are they're a necessity for the summer. I mean, they're fantastic. They just like putting a couple little clouds on your feet. I mean, they are awesome. But also the OU collection, we've all got the socks. I mean, guys, you jump in here. You guys have all worn them. I'll
love
probably
the no-shows.
wear
Love
mine
'em.
tomorrow
They're good.
night.
I love the no-shows, and I wear them basically from about this time of the year until the end of summer when I get back into regular form. So it's all about golf here right now, and I think that the no-shows they work the best for me on the golf course. There's no doubt about that. And you don't have to, they're so thin too. Sometimes I worry, am I going to be walking around it? Am I going to get any blisters? And I've never had that problem.
And we've worked with them to kind of come up with this collection for OU, and they've taken a lot of our ideas and put them into the socks, like the Maker Bayfields. But like right now, you can get the Crimson Dress Sock 4-pack. It's on sale for $56.95. That has the Maker Bayfield. You can get the other ones. You get another one, the Norman Mix 4-pack bundle, $64.95. It's got the retro and the Maker Bayfield and the wagon. So whatever you like, you can get them all in one too. Those are on sale, just $109.95, $110 for every OU sock that they make, and these are really high quality socks. Handles, being washed and still stay soft, and they don't fall down. They got that patented silicone bead. So go check them out, deadsoxy.com. Also use that promo code Boomer and get 25% off your total order. That's promo code Boomer. 25% off at deadsoxy.com. That's DEADSOXY.com. All right. So have any of you guys been over to look at the statue in person yet?
I think Bob didn't you?
I went Sunday.
Okay.
I liked it. I liked it a heck of a lot more than I did Friday night when those pictures were coming.
There's like a little bit of a illusion that has been put out. It looks better in the sunlight.
It does.
I don't know what it was. The way that some of those pictures were from
It's
the
probably
Everett Center
just
on Friday night.
They had, dramatic lighting and just from different angles and stuff. And
I mean, I can still see the T1000. It's still there. But, when you look at the totality of it all, like if you don't just zoom in on the face, but the entire, that's really not that bad.
Okay. NFL draft is starting tomorrow. I know we've all kind of talked about this today. Of course, we want our guy Isaiah to go as high as possible. So I spent a lot of yesterday just looking at mock drafts. I think the one thing that we can say without question is Nick Bonito's going early in the second round at some point, or fairly early to middle.
Perrion too, I think.
I just think the unknowns with him and, the talent is there. There's no doubt about it. But there are going to be some questions about him, and just about personality off the field, things like that, talking to players, I know NFL teams have been asking about him. I know players have been asked about him.
Sure.
It's just, we've talked about it before many times, the multiple first quarter suspensions and just stuff that you would hear from time to time. The stuff we knew at Nebraska that happened. I mean, he's got a little bit of baggage, and that's the only thing that would concern me with him being a late first round, early second round guy.
The good news is you only need one team to like you.
Exactly.
To overlook that.
Or the Raiders.
And that's what I was going to say. It's a league that employs quite a few or questionable.
That's all they care about, talent.
Character guys. So
some people give guys with 22 civil cases against them $230 million guaranteed.
Right.
If you can play football, you're going to play football. Yeah.
You just got to be consistency, I think, is probably the biggest thing with him on the field, isn't it?
Yes.
Because there were moments where you go, I remember talking about it during U40 podcast last year, just where's this guy at? Why is he not making plays?
And it's just not off the field. It is on the field because, we were also shocked and surprised that he was the darling of the Senior Bowl practices because we were just okay, that's interesting. Where was this guy?
There was also a point, too, where it's okay, PFF, they love Perrion Winfrey. They love Nick Bonito. They love Isaiah. They love Brian Asamoah.
For a while, they love Spencer Rattler.
They go to all this stuff, though, and then you're why the hell were these guys not on the field half of the time at OU?
But
and I think that has more to do with Alex Grinch and everything.
What Perrion has to answer, though, is that even when he wasn't that guy. You can say he wasn't on the field enough, and we would all agree with that. But even in the snaps that he got, you're supposed to give 100% of every snap you get for that reason. It didn't always feel like that.
And, let's face it. This was a season that Nick Bonito, a little bit down, but he still showed up. Isaiah Thomas had his best year, I thought. And they needed a third guy to come along with them. And all those guys played well. We talked about it all year. The defensive line was the one carrying the defense. And then when Jalen got hurt, that took away an option for him. But Perrion, all year, we were wondering, why aren't we seeing more from him?
Yeah, 5.5 sacks, that position. It's not bad. It just felt like it felt like the numbers overall.
Ethan Downs and Reggie Grimes were making bigger impacts, in the backfield than Perrion was, and that's what. Go back to that Big 12 championship game against Iowa State when he was seemingly in the backfield every other play
and just couldn't finish.
He couldn't finish.
But what looks like for the draft, it could be as many as 8, maybe. Could be as low as 5, but feel like the first part of Saturday.
I think 4 and 5, rounds 4 and 5 are where most guys are going to go.
Yep. And so that get ready the early part of Saturday if you want to just watch. You'll see a lot of Sooners called.
And I think Asamoah, most of the mocks I've looked have him squarely in that 5th round. You know,
Asamoah,
120-ish around.
Hayes.
He's kind of one of those guys that's like very intriguing to me as far as like what his NFL future is going to look like. Because right now, like, and I like Brian Asamoah a lot. I think that he obviously had a really good Senior Bowl and he probably did himself very well. But like, would I take a Malcolm Rodriguez ahead of Brian Asamoah? I really don't know. I'm glad I don't have to make that decision.
We probably shouldn't be able to make any discussions about Brian Asamoah because every one of us in this room, we didn't even all work together at the time, chose Tavion Thomas over Brian Asamoah when OU played at Ohio State for our Friday night game.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
And it was the
weirdest high school game.
It may be worse.
It was a cool stadium, though.
It was a cool stadium. That's one of the worst high school games I've been to.
Yep.
Only maybe second to our trip to Tallahassee to see Leif Harlow.
Yeah, Leif Harlow. I'll tell you what, that other team was fucking fast.
Yeah,
though.
they were really good. Forgot who it was. Forgot who they were playing. It's like one of those like kind of name brand Florida high schools.
Yeah.
Forgot who it was though.
Good old
Smaller
Leif.
classification.
I was telling somebody about
Leif
that
Harlow
trip the other day.
Yeah, literally his coaches had to force him into the game so we could get some footage of it because they just never gave him the ball. He never caught a pass.
Well, and I think we both left thinking like, oh my God, why
What are they
recruiting
doing?
him?
Yeah.
Why is Bruce Kittle recruiting this guy? And this is at the same time that George Kittle's living 15 minutes from Owen Field. Literally.
They went with Leif Harlow instead of George Kittle.
And I don't even think like Leif was here.
His
That's
back
right.
end.
He had
It
a
might be
medical scholarship, yeah. And I
might
don't
be a
think he
little
finished
unfair.
school here.
No, I don't think he did. I think he ended up. I actually think he ended up marrying somebody, and they had a kid, and they moved back to Florida. Maybe.
Okay. Was a super nice guy.
Yeah,
Nothing against
great
him.
guy.
Exactly.
Great guy.
But not a good, but definite miss on the recruiting
Maybe
trail.
just not the guy that you offer when you have a coach's son that ends up being the best tight end in the league.
I will say, I across the board, Charlie Kolar, I think, is about in that same range as Brian Asamoah on most of the mocks I looked at.
Yeah.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Sounds like Dax Hill will probably be the first Oklahoma ties guy off the board.
Do you really see Dax Hill going as a first rounder?
Everybody
a
has him
lot of
going.
people
They all
have
him,
yes.
but I just can't buy into. He's so small.
Dax?
Yes,
He's not that small.
he's tiny.
He's bigger than He's bigger than Tyrann Mathieu.
Well,
The Honey
Oh my
Badger.
God! The guy nicknamed the Honey Badger. You're going to use him as
Well,
one reference?
That's who most people have him going to.
Yeah.
Kansas City.
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
Dak's a
maybe
good
it
player.
works out. Yeah. I mean, it's just man, as a first rounder, to me, if you think he's that guy, at least push down second or third. I mean, I want physical freaks in the first round. I'm sorry.
yep.
I don't want to take that chance. Like, I'm sorry, What did Tyrann Mathieu get drafted? Was he second?
Couldn't tell you.
No idea.
I mean, he was a stud in college, so.
Dak's a little
But
bit
he had
smaller
the
than I thought
marijuana thing.
For some reason, I was thinking Dax was like 6'2".
No,
So he's only
No.
6 foot.
Yeah. And he's not muscle bound at all.
Exactly. Yeah,
He's thin.
All right, I'll remember that when he's a all pro.
Yeah, I mean, no.
5 years.
Look, I put the take out there. I've been cold takes before on Twitter. I can handle it.
It's a sign
from you.
It's a sign of accomplishment when you get cold take.
Yeah. I mean, it might mean you're somebody. Even
it's a
though,
growth of ownership too.
Exactly.
Saying, instead of trying to backtrack. No, I never said
You
that.
can't be in the take game and then not be okay when you get called out.
Yeah. I'll just say it was an emotional time after Katie left. Okay. I said a lot of stupid things that I regret.
I know. Now we're trying to get him back.
I know. I saw your stuff.
You
last
tagged them, man. You did.
I guess the only way to get a response from him is to basically tell him to die. That's
Oh, really?
That's the only people that he'll ever respond back to is
and
people
Barkley.
and Charles Barkley.
Yeah. Okay, so the draft, I mean, I think the one guy that I've been surprised throughout this process to see his name pop up as much as it has is Marquis Hayes.
Yeah, I following the season, I was like, I think he'll be an undrafted free agent. Now it's like he's going to be 4th or 5th round.
I mean,
sounds
he
like.
had a really good Senior Bowl.
He did.
And he's also, I think, one of those guys, just like Perrion, where we were just like, okay, why isn't he better?
Yep.
Like, I always want, like, he's got the build, he's got the size. He you see flashes of him just being a mauler, but he's never consistent. And he wasn't a problem with penalties or anything like that. It's just like, you didn't really see him dominate that on a consistent basis. And he looks like the type of person. Of course, we were saying the same things about Creed Humphrey.
Yeah, and we're saying the same thing about Tyrese
Robinson.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be drafted because he's not the physical freak that Marquis Hayes is.
I think Delarian Turner-Yell is kind of
iffy.
Yeah, you see him on some, but not others.
Yep.
Burkage
is another one. I don't know.
I've seen him on some mocks, but he's not on a lot. It just
drafting a kicker.
Don't you think that? I mean, with that's got. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you look at what Justin Tucker did last year. I mean, kickers are now winning games, especially in the playoffs, more than they ever have. To me, it seems. And it seems like, well, I mean, this is true absolutely, where coaches allow kickers to take longer field goals than I ever remember in the history of watching football. Like, they'll take a chance on 60-yarders.
Yeah.
And I don't remember coaches ever doing that in the
position.
past.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
What
I mean,
kickers just in general just stronger and better than they've ever been too.
The single face mask and the straight on approach.
Yeah, they're better than all the toe poke bullshit that's out there.
well, who's the guy with a half a foot that had the record forever?
Blanda?
Dempsey?
Dempsey.
Rick
Yeah.
Dempsey?
Yeah.
Was it Rick Dempsey?
I used to stare at that guy. I used to look that guy up in books when I was a kid all the time. Because you always see these grainy, like, black and white photos and stuff of him. But I was just fascinated by the fact that he only had half a foot. Although that seems like he was cheating now. It's like putting those people with
that's what his
with the legs in the
secret
Olympics.
was.
Who's the guy? Oscar Pistorius, the murderer?
He is a murderer.
I said the murderer.
He did murder his wife and got away with it.
His girlfriend.
Well, I guess not got away with it, but I don't think he got.
He almost got away with it.
I think is he out? Because I think he got out, but he's back in for something else. I think for fraud or something.
Okay. That makes sense.
Kind of like OJ, huh?
Well, OJ never murdered anybody.
It's kind of like the boy in the bubble, on Seinfeld. It's like just because you have a ailment doesn't mean you can't be an asshole.
Boom.
Or a murderer.
It's a good episode.
It's a really good episode.
Moops.
Oops. Okay. So draft is happening. We're keeping our eye on the portal. You said Jerry Bohannon, right before you started podding today, got in the transfer portal for Baylor.
Dave Aranda made that move to name Shapen last night,
So far,
knowing this could happen.
So far, we have Cody Jackson into the portal, which, I don't think any of us are surprised by. Just one of those guys, highly recruited, but his career just, this staff doesn't know him. He doesn't really know them.
Exactly.
Seemed like the perfect candidate for. He just needs a reset.
Yeah,
just everything needs to reset for him.
After the mono or whatever it was last year.
Yeah.
I mean,
which was like so weird how all that he spent some time in the hospital.
Yes,
I think
it
we
was
can say it now.
bad.
It's so
yes,
weird.
it was very bad.
It wasn't COVID-y, was it?
No.
It was just It was something. That,
I'd heard it was mono.
Same.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. People keep asking, like, who do you see going? Like, I can't see any running backs going. I mean, there was all those Eric Gray Tennessee rumors, and he's done nothing but just establish himself as a dude.
Not only as a dude, but like as a leader.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
I think that like as much as he's been brought up by Brent Venables, as much as he's been brought up by like teammates and stuff, he's made kind of an impact up and down the roster.
By the way, could you see Lebby going after Bohannon as a backup?
Like that's just such a hard sell, aren't you? Or if you're Jerry Bohannon, aren't you signing up
you're
to do
going to
the
want to
same
go and
thing
start
that,
somewhere.
Like that's
But
not
if he
going,
wants to, he's gonna have to go like a mid-major. He has to. He's not gonna be a power five
Unless he
starter.
says, I want to go chase a championship. Yeah, I mean, but he got one at Baylor last year, so
if he
doesn't
was
mean that much
if
to
he
him.
was a freshman,
that does kind of suck that you won the Big 12 championship as a starting quarterback and you got beat out. But that's life.
well,
It is.
technically he didn't win the Big 12 championship.
OSU lost it.
No, what's his name won it.
Yeah.
He played quarterback.
Chapin.
Oh, yeah. He was out. He was out. I forgot he didn't even play in that game.
And that's probably one of the reasons why they made the decision so quickly. Remember, he completed his first 17 passes.
Yeah, he was really good.
He was excellent. Supposed to be a hell of a baseball
Bohannon just wasn't
player,
a good thrower. I mean, he just wasn't.
If Bohannon was a freshman, I think that it changes things a little bit because you could say, okay, I'm going to spend my sophomore season sitting behind somebody, and then I reevaluate again. But
yeah, they need a freshman that's transferring out to come in.
That's OU's problem right now. That's OSU's problem to a certain extent.
It's like every school at this point.
Are you willing to come sit and not be guaranteed any playing time, and then kind of almost have to reevaluate where you are in a year?
If our starter doesn't get hurt, you might never play a meaningful snap. Is that okay with you?
And that's why, maybe you go, I don't know what the JUCO situation is going into spring. I don't even know. Most JUCOs don't even have spring anymore, do they?
Did you see some of the reports out there that Jackson Dart might have been the third most impressive quarterback at Ole Miss?
Supposedly he sucked on Saturday down at Ole Miss.
When Luke Altmaier was the popular choice to join OU after spring, when Jackson Dart passes him up.
One of the most fascinating things that is, I think come out of the portal is, I think, probably a realization that all of these guys are talking to each other, behind the scenes. And I think you see it a little bit, maybe even more so in basketball. It's you can start connecting dots that, okay, so this guy had to wait on this guy's announcement, so he's going to go there.
Just like high school recruit. Yep, it is.
It's insane.
Dang, I'm the plan B. I'm not the A at this school. I got to see what this guy does first.
And now, especially with the money that's being thrown around, especially in the basketball portal, I think it's probably even worse in football. It's just insane.
I got to tell you, man, John Ruiz he's
I have so much respect for this guy.
Blowing it up.
I've been following him since the beginning. Just because I've been into NIL.
Is he vocal
saw what
about
I was
it too?
doing? There's all these NIL resources out there. That's kind of how I first learned about him a while ago. He's not quiet about it. He'll our Miami site went to his house, his $21 million house, and did an interview with him. Oh
my God,
he's not quiet about it at all. And he was trying to himself personally build Miami's new football stadium.
He's worth $10 billion. I guess when you have $10 billion, you can basically do whatever you want.
And he loves Miami football. He is the ultimate NIL guy. He's using his company to
so baller.
All of their marketing budget on players for NIL.
So baller.
And it's not small amount. He gave $800,000 to Nigel Pack.
$400 per year and a car. And that kind of throws off everything else with basketball now, because you're Pack's nice, but $800,000 for Nigel Pack?
Yeah, did you see Kansas State win or go to the NCAA tournament last year? No. They were an okay team.
If you're a billionaire right now, there's just no reason why, if you really love the school that you follow, you could turn into the hero of ever.
Well, and it's just the stuff with the One Oklahoma collective and stuff that's they just have to retool some things, and I think they'll get it worked out. But that's the thing. They weren't ready. They just kind of wanted to rush it out there before the spring game to get some attention to themselves. They're not ready to do any of the stuff that they're planning to do. We could pull off all the stuff they want to do right now because I've been working on it for 8 months. Not well, but we could pull it off. But I'm not sitting here asking people for $1 million, though. I'm not asking people for a cent. I'm just saying buy some hats, buy some merch, subscribe to the site.
Sure.
That's what we're doing. If you want to support NIL, do all those things. Be a subscriber, buy some hats, buy some merch. It's, we have a way of doing it. I'm not trying to say anybody's way is wrong, but what John Ruiz is doing is he is if Sooner Scoop were the biggest subscription site in the world, and we just said we're going to spend all our money on players.
Pretty much.
And he's a lawyer.
Got another football guy yesterday.
Yeah, he did. He's a lawyer, and like they're introducing them. Like his company is
They're tweeting
introducing.
it, yes.
They're making the decisions through his company.
I mean,
like,
it's truly fantastic. It's truly like the biggest alpha power move.
It
ever.
is. He lives in Miami. He has a freaking a cigarette boat company.
Does he just have like the nicest house that you could ever imagine?
It's
on
ridiculous.
Star Beach or whatever.
It's ridiculous. I mean, he is Miami. Like. It's crazy.
I'd never heard about this guy until the last couple
weeks. Like if
you
gave us $1 billion, who knows what the we would do? I mean, we would wreck some shit up. I guarantee it. And he has it. I mean, it's ridiculous, and you can't hate him.
No, it's within the rules.
I want to see like
it's within the rules.
Florida and Florida State fans like crying foul because he's not doing anything even close to shady.
No, that's the thing.
He has like a 25-person creative agency inside of his offices just to do NIL.
Yeah, he's paying people millions of dollars probably just to do this the right way.
Yes.
I love the dedication. That's what
I've been telling you guys about this guy for a while. Now he's starting to blow up.
It's insane. And that's why they're going to have to do something. I don't know, like just doing away with NIL isn't the right way to do it, but there has to be some type of, I don't know. And then you get the Mark Emmert stuff thrown on top, and it's I think everybody's.
Yesterday.
I was talking to a buddy that is a college coach in a smaller sport, not at OU, and he basically was saying yesterday to me that he's in a situation right now where he's basically rethinking careers because what he's having to go up against in NIL. Can you imagine what these football programs and what these basketball programs are going up against?
Jay Wright.
Like, yeah. Yep. Like, I can't imagine what it's like walking into somebody's house and saying, okay, with this NIL stuff, I can give you this, this, and this. And then this bigger school comes in. They're like, we'll pay for your country club fee. We'll pay for your car. We'll pay for, basically your entire family to live for a year.
It would be like if Elon Musk decided he wanted to make a school successful. It just went in and threw billions around. Or Jeff Bezos, whoever's rich. I mean, you can, if you have enough money, you can legally change the face of an entire athletic program.
Yeah.
Yep.
Through NIL.
Yeah. Hopefully Elon just stays in the north sector of Austin, doesn't really get down to 6th Street in it.
And we missed out not getting that Tulsa plant.
Or to the university. Yeah, no kidding.
We didn't know how much that was going to end up hurting.
It's wild right now. It truly is the wild, wild west. And then you throw in everything. I don't know if, while we're just sitting here today doing the podcast, it's come out that, I think a lot of people have already known that the Big 12 is officially expanding in 2023.
14. The
14,
big 14.
Houston, Cincinnati, Central Florida, all planning to join the Big 12. 23, 24. John Rothstein and some others have reported that. So as it stands now, OU and Texas will be playing against those schools in 23 and 24.
And 24, 25.
Yeah, 23, 24, 24, 25.
Mm-hmm. Right. Because it's after the season in 25. Well,
correct.
That January.
Yes.
That
so I can imagine that OU and Texas fans just need to get hotel rooms in Houston, Cincinnati, Orlando, and Provo. Like it's just it's already set in stone that they're going to be making all the trips to the worst places.
I might be interested in going to Provo. That'd be an interesting trip.
I think it'd be fun.
How far is that from Salt Lake City? Do you fly into Salt Lake and then drive to Provo?
I think it's like 45 minutes.
Wow.
It's not too far at all. I've never been to Utah. Supposedly Salt Lake City's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's on diners, drive-ins, and dives all the time.
Can't do anything on Sunday, but...
Can't get coffee in Provo, probably.
I don't know. I think that they've kind of reformed that. I think they're in on caffeine nowadays.
They can have caffeine now?
I think so.
I love it when we talk about things we have no idea.
I have no idea, yeah. I'm not too familiar. Not too familiar.
Zero.
So, yeah, I mean, Portal, we'll keep watching that. I mean, Bob, I know you kind of just described it. I don't know how much we even have to talk about it, but you posted about it on the site, some news recently on the Hoops program. But, yeah, I mean, Porter's kind of sitting there like, who's going to be available? I mean, you saw, what was it, how do you say the kid's name for the Big Sky kid?
Baylor Scheimeyer.
I saw
Schiermeyer.
His list was like 50 schools long. I mean, it's insane.
It really is, and then you just start narrowing it down even more, and that's when usually OU's been dropped off, is when these kids have gotten to their second or third cut. The Sooners have fallen off, and there's been some, rumors or kind of whispers out there that's because NIL isn't as big with OU in terms of their clear direction of what they want to give to these kids, and it's been hurting.
Josh is on vacation right now. Would you guys like if I just crafted a press release to say that Sooner Scoop is now going to specialize only in basketball NIL?
Let's do it.
He may never come back.
I mean, we'll still do football recruiting, but,
He would see it, and he would know that we're screwing with him, I think. I don't know. He might be.
I would get a really passive-aggressive.
He might be also in one of those situations where, like, headspace-wise, health-wise, I don't know if that's the best thing as he's walking around with his family.
It's been a little rough, right?
Disney.
Yeah, it's a little rough right now for him. So he's actually trying to find ways to work a little bit while he's on this vacation. Like
he has been. Yes,
he's like keeping up. He's like, no, keep telling me stuff. I want to hear.
But yeah, I mean, you look at OU, right? They've got three spots open, and we know the portal deadline is May 1st. That includes basketball too. It is all fall and winter sports for that May 1st deadline. So obviously, by this next week, they have to know, at least within their own roster, of course, who's staying, and then from there, just kind of filling out those last couple pieces where I think, there's maybe some immediate impact guys that they want in the backcourt, and maybe for the big guys are willing to take a project and kind of see if they can develop him through the normal process of being a late bloomer in high school, bring him in as a freshman, and then see where things go from there.
Think of all the guys that already transferred before that PAC deal came out, and they're like, what have I done?
Yep. Yeah. There's no question about that, or now what's going to change in the weeks ahead because of that, and what the demands of some of these kids might be to some of these schools now.
By the way, did you see they also got the Fresno State twins?
Yeah,
the TikTok stars.
Yeah. The Cavader twins in that end of Miami. It's unbelievable. I have to think that like they were already making because they were like the first.
They got that
group
Boost Mobile deal
that
right
like
off the
signed,
bat. Yeah.
and I think that was. I want to say it was six figures.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know exactly what it was. I would love to know what they're getting now at Miami. Besides pregnant.
Well, they have their own clothing line.
Oh, do they really?
Oh yeah, it's really weird because they even have
I didn't know that.
It's licensed through like collegiate licensing, so it's other universities too. So they're doing it's sportswear for it's not like athleisure, but it's like cool kind of updated colorful,
like a
sportswear.
Lululemon almost?
Kind of like that. But what happens is because of the screwiness of the rules, they have to black out the school logos on the ads that they send out on social media.
Like, I get the branding and all that kind of stuff, but everybody knows what it is.
I know.
Like, I don't know.
Well, this whole thing is an exercise in not stupidity, but just ridiculousness. I mean,
yep.
Like the one Oklahoma thing, it's just a way to funnel money to players. I mean, It is. And I can see how people get pissed off about the charity component because there are some people that are in, that donate a lot of money to charities and they feel like they're just using them to get, funnel money to athletes. And yeah, that's pretty much what you're doing. I mean, instead of just being able to and we've talked, I mean, my God, the stuff on Sooner Scoop that's been flying around the last few days over this. But, I mean, it really is. It's like there are people that want to give the players money. They can't just give them money, though. They have to find a middleman to funnel the money to the players. And it's like, yes, the people on the board that get frustrated, they're like, this is so stupid. Yes, I agree. It's like because we're talking about, I'll just say, like, we spent I figured it out. We spent like $250,000 so far on this office. I know that's crazy. But it's all, and it's not just for NIL, it's for our company. It's for stuff that we're going to do. But it is ridiculous how much we have to put into this to set it up just so we can do more NIL stuff.
Sure.
Like we could have given $250,000 to the football program, or to the football players. And just had them come on and, but I don't want to do crappy Zoom calls and all that stuff. Anyway, that's not what I mean. It's just like you have to invent these ways that's never been invented before to get the money to the players. And you're getting all these companies that like want to make something off the top. And then you're getting guys that are nonprofit. Like some people are in this because they think it's an industry. Like, and this is not a bad thing, but like I saw Kelly Masters say that she was quitting her job as an agent to go full-time as an NIL consultant or to help NIL companies. Like, it's becoming an industry. And like, I subscribe to these newsletters and stuff, and there's consultants, and you can hire them, and they'll tell you what everybody else is doing. Like Oklahoma State, their business school, they have this entire club of 75 students that their only job is to help players get NIL deals. And they use that as like a university coursework. And I think it's really cool that they're doing it that way because it's not taking a bunch of money to make it happen. They're actually paying to do it because they're paying tuition. But look, everybody has been really upset for a long time about when is this going to happen? Why doesn't OU have one? You saw somebody try and jump the gun and say, okay, we're going to do this, but they're not ready to do this. It's just, it doesn't happen overnight everywhere. So at Oklahoma, it's been slower than others, but I don't know anybody at Texas or A&M that's actually being paid yet by these collectives that have been announced.
That's a good point. I haven't heard anything.
Is it one of those things, too, that it's just a simple cash flow situation, too, to where if somebody had $5 million that they could just give the collective, it'd be a lot easier to get that thing up off the ground.
Well, that's what Texas is doing. I mean, like, they're announcing like a foundational gift, like we've got $10 million in funding, and that's, going to help fund these payments that we're going to make to players, and it's going to help us get offices and staff and support personnel because you have to have that stuff.
But nothing's actually like, they don't have those offices yet.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the guy, the CEO is saying, he's making allegations that, these are all, most of these are all fake and I don't know about all that stuff. I mean, I don't know why you need to say that, but I say stupid shit all the time too, so.
Yeah, I have no idea. It's fascinating though, because I think that,
I think
everybody's always talked about the change in college athletics, and it's like, it's not only is it here, but it's changed. And if you haven't changed with it, you're going to be left behind.
I think the thing about it is we all want it to be successful. We want the one Oklahoma or whatever it's going to end up being called. We want it to work. We want players to be able to get $50,000 a year.
Sure.
Like, every player that's a good thing. It's a good thing for Oklahoma. It's a good thing. I mean, we want good recruits to come to Oklahoma because we want to be able to cover.
Ultimately, it's going to be great for it.
Yeah.
Like that works out for everybody.
So, and we'll do our part, and Dusty and Gabe will, they're working on NIL. Who knows who else is working on NIL? I mean, it's going to happen. It's good. Then players are going to be able to make money. It's just, it's all. It happened July 1st, and everybody spent the season, and everything went crazy with Lincoln for a while, and now spring football is over, and now.
This is when it's going to happen.
This is when it's all going to be put together.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things, too. It's like more the merrier. Like,
the
more collectives, the better it is for the university.
Right. And the players. So.
Sure.
Anyway.
It's wild, though.
Crazy.
We just, I don't know. I think OU just needs a John Ruiz. That makes it all easier.
Somebody with 10 bill.
Billions. I mean, that's the one thing I learned about this place. Money makes things go really fast.
Yeah.
And we go really slow.
And happiness. Get you happiness. Money gets you happiness.
So anyway, baseball going on.
Yeah, they're kind of entering.
Did they lose to ORU?
Yeah, they got beat last night.
Yeah.
5-1. Tried away, misplayed a ball in center.
I saw they were down.
Scored 3 in the bottom of the first and just were never really in it. Loaded the bases in the second or third inning and just weren't able to get. They played so well, you kind of expected something like that to happen at some point. But
they didn't deserve to win Saturday against Kansas. And
sure,
so
they're coming off of a sweep. They just did not play well. So they got Kansas State coming to town this weekend. Kind of interesting. Kansas State hasn't been here in 4 years. So this is the first time that Pete Hughes is coming back to
wow.
Norman.
Yep.
I'm sure that he's going to be rolling with security this weekend. And then they kind of get back into what will be a really tough stretch. Dallas Baptist, who's number 2 in the RPI right now, they beat TCU last night. Then OU plays TCU in a 3-game series, West Virginia and Texas Tech to round it out. So, I mean, they're on the bubble, basically. I know D1 Baseball came out with their projection this morning. I think OU was the 3 seed up in Corvallis. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, and the weird thing is with the Big 12 right now is 1 through 6 all have 5-6 losses in conference play. So, you probably you obviously want to win the series this weekend, but sweeping it would go a pretty long way. Tech's playing awful right now. I think they've lost like 3 straight weeks in the midweek, and then they got swept by TCU.
By TCU, right?
Just like they're not playing well right now, so it's kind of wide open. OSU and Texas obviously kind of leading the pack. So TCU, Tech obviously in top 20, and then OU's kind of sitting right there in 5 and 6. Them and West Virginia kind of mirror each other.
All right, it's officially football off season. I know, players are already tweeting about how Smitty's not taking it easy on them. They're already going at it. I would just say my guess would be that we'll have an off season NIL deal at some point to talk with some people, and do some podcasts or YouTube stuff or whatever. But YouTube stuff is certainly headed in the right direction. Got a bunch of stuff in just today. And we'll have a new hire to announce soon. It's going to be helping us out with our offices and producing content and things like that. So excited for that. And that's about a month away from being announced. So, but it was all kind of finalized yesterday. So, anyway, guys, anything you wanted to jump in on before we get out of here today?
It's going to come down to probably the final couple holes in Trinity, Texas. Texas leads by 1, so we shall see.
Bob's just shaking his head.
He's not playing very well on the back 9.
It could start with recruiting, but we'll wrap it all up with Josh when he comes back. All the 2024 quarterback offers, all the kids that were on for spring game.
I mean, I think in the end, you could say that it was as successful as the spring game was for fans. I think it was equally as successful on the recruiting side. You just don't have a bunch of names to celebrate right now.
The immediate commitments do not happen now.
Yeah.
And you have to get used to that.
Yeah, this is the world we live in. I mean, you're going to get better players later in the process than you're used to getting, but you're not going to get all the early commitments, especially this time of the year.
Correct.
Maybe in
the June 3rd could be a real weekend you could actually circle, but not much before then.
Yeah, you're probably looking at like October, November for a lot of the commitments to come in this calendar. So, all right, that is going to do it for us. We'll be back again next week, and we'll have Josh along and get more knee-deep into the recruiting, and hopefully he survives Orlando, because that's not a given. So anyway, thank you for listening, and we'll see you guys next week. Go check out SoonerScoopStore.com, unofficial 40 podcast merchandise in there. We'll have some new hats up for you this week. Going to be spending the rest of my day getting those online. So go check it out. By the time you listen to this, they might already be up. Got some flatbacks or some flat bills, some trucker hats that we haven't had in the store before. But appreciate you guys supporting the store. We had a lot of orders this last week, so thank you guys. It goes really right back into all these offices to do what we do. So thank you so much, and we'll see you guys again next week on another edition of the Unofficial 40 Podcast from SoonerScoop.com.